listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Behold the power of homework. Hey there, happy almost spring. So as I've been doing, I like to read some of the reviews I've been getting because I really appreciate that. And I want to motivate you to feel free to provide feedback to me. So let me read you another one. It's from EB. It says, Mark, well, it's entitled Excellent Podcast. Mark, I've listened to your entire podcast now, some episodes multiple times. And I want to sincerely thank you for sharing your insight with the world. You've got a great gift in your mindful and wise practices, and you top it off perfectly with your subtle and advanced articulate, wow, and of course that's the word I mess up, articulative communication skills. That's hilarious. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to make these mini-sodes and hope your audience grows continuously. All the best. Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much for that sort of thing. And I just think it's hilarious that I literally messed up the word that described that I don't mess up, and I'm very clear in the way that I speak. Priceless. So today's episode is about the power of homework. And as I said in the article that comes along with this, and again, a little plug for that, remember, if you subscribe on the Alchemy for Life site, you get the article that goes along with the podcast itself, which is kind of cool because I try to, and I'll use that word again, articulate what I'm talking about in the podcast. And that way you can kind of skim it. You can kind of look through it and read through it. Sometimes it has links to other podcasts if I reference something that I think is important, or it'll have a link to an external source. So it's kind of like subscribing to a news article along with the podcast. And the reason I do it that way, which is a lot of work, but the reason I do it that way is so that you get to see this in two voices, the authoritative voice of writing an article and the kind of conversational style that people seem to like in the podcast. So please go ahead and subscribe. You just go to the Alchemy for Life site. There's like 6 options to do that. If you visit it on your phone, it'll automatically pop up and ask if you want to do that. It's all I ever do is just once a week or once every 2 weeks, I send the email that says, hey, here's the latest podcast. So enough with that, and on to the actual podcast. So I want to talk about homework and how powerful that is. And as I say in the article, if you're in high school or you're in college, and I have a number of listeners that are that age, so hi there, yo. You don't like homework. I didn't like homework at all. It felt like unfinished business. It felt like, well, why can't we do this in school? Well, like, you know, so either it's something that's super repetitive, and that's not the greatest way to learn things usually, or it's like you're taught something minimalistically and then sent on your merry way when you would like to normally conduct your life like eating and sleeping and having fun. But instead you have to do this stuff. And if you're in college, multiply that by 1,000. That's all you're ever doing is homework. And you know, the entire building is built upon you finding some little crevasse to go into and just study and maybe have a beer or worse. So my opinion of that is that I think sometimes, more often than not, it's used in lieu of interacting with somebody who can be a leader and try to understand truly humanistically where your gaps in learning are. So I'm not a fan of the way homework is traditionally used in those groups. So if you're in one of those groups, I am sorry. I am very sorry in the way it's used. Now, if you're in the group that is in business, so you're past college and you're just doing your thing, right? You're Joe Schlub, respectably, and you want to go home at night. You don't like homework. And, you know, typically people who are in careers or so forth have to deal with, you know, they go home and they open their laptop again, which is not great for their psyche. But a lot of business is built on that. And again, that's not the greatest trend either when you're thinking about the work-life balance that we hear about all the time. So again, saying homework to that group warrants some kind of punching. I get it. Now, the final group, which is the group I assume you might be in, even if you're in high school or college, is that the entrepreneur and the self-development / self-improvement group. Yay! right? That's the group we're in. That's why you're listening to this, because you're trying to figure out new and exciting ways to kind of make improvements, to cut corners in a smart way and so forth. And that's what the podcast is about. It's a free podcast. It's only 10 minutes or so of your life, and you walk away with at least one bullet point, which is kind of my promise to you. So good for you for listening. Thank you for being in that group. And here's how homework is powerful. If you're in business and you have your own business and you interact with clients, a lot of times when you interact with these clients, potential clients, people will try to say, hey, we don't have clients, we have partners, we partner with you, blah, blah, blah. They overuse the word like you're in like this family or this monogamous relationship with them, and you're not, okay? But if you want to cross the path between saying, hey, I want to sell you this thing, can I have some money? To, I work with somebody and they said yes, and they pulled the trigger on this project and this thing, and now we kind of work on a lot of things together. I come back. We have an ongoing relationship. That's where homework is really amazing. So let me tell you what happens and what to do. When you are connecting with a prospect or you're connecting with somebody who you think you'd like to work with, I'm sure you have a vetting process that is hopefully beyond, do they have any money? So if you have a vetting process that's slightly more complex than that you are the kind of person that would go, maybe they're not the greatest fit for me, then you're of the proper mindset that says, okay, I'm going to try to help them as best as I can. Great. Here's my spiel. Here's my proposal, da-da-da-da-da. Even before the proposal process, or even before the final proposal, when it comes to some of the things in my world that I make proposals for, there's a certain amount of homework involved. So for example, let me use websites as an example. You go to someone and you say, or a firm, and you say, I'd like you to develop my website. And they say, oh, okay, great. No. They say, well, we do this kind of thing and this kind of thing. If they say to you, what sort of sites do you see as being in line with yours? What sort of imagery? What sort of impression do you need to leave, and so on and so forth? Are there sites out there that you are very impressed by that aren't even in your sector? If that's the case, then you could give them homework. That's the homework you give them, is doing something like that. When it comes to other things and whatever your business is, giving your clients homework it elevates the level of connection that you have with them, because you're willing to tell them to go do some work instead of saying, oh, you have money, that's good enough. And it tells them that you're serious. So as the buyer, as the client, if you go to someone who says, I'd like you to do some homework, and it's reasonable homework. I'm not saying anything insulting. I'm not saying something that you're like, my God, this is stuff they should know. I'm talking about them listening to you. And then based on that conversation, they say, oh, I really like this. Can you just do the following few things for me? I would really appreciate that. Because they're trying to get to know you. Okay? And that makes it much more desirable to work with them. And if you're on the other side of it, because you're one of the listening people here, it really is a big deal. And it'll do two things for you. First of all, it'll make a much better partnership sort of connection between you and your client. And it will get you to think in terms above and beyond the sales proposal. Everybody on LinkedIn, everyone everywhere says, do these things, shove the people into the sales funnel and you will get them. Okay? That gets a little old, and it gets really obvious once you've been shoved into the funnel more than once, what people are trying to do. So instead of doing that to people and insulting their intelligence and wearing down their stamina, maybe give them some homework. And in a moment of reflection, if you think, well, wait, I don't have any homework to give them. Well, now you have homework. Ta-da! You have homework to figure out what the homework would be that you would give your clients. I want to add one more thing to that, and that homework isn't just here's something for you to do before I take your money. Homework sometimes is part of an ongoing relationship. In the world of coaching, oh my God, that's what it's all about is homework. Because you can't make these changes and you can't make these adaptations and go through these goals and things in the hour you're talking to your coach. It's all done offline. Okay. So that is one of the businesses that's basically all based on homework. But in an ongoing relationship with someone, even if you're cleaning their carpets or something, it might make sense to give them a little bit of homework. And that homework might benefit them, it might benefit you, and it might benefit both of you. So think about that. Just think about the power of homework in that way. And again, I am so sorry to those people who are younger who have homework thrust upon them in lieu of interaction. Okay? Sorry. But hopefully as you get older, and hopefully the people listening that are of the entrepreneur mindset, of the self-improvement mindset, can think about that. And you're thinking, oh, wait a second, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I do have a business coach, or I do have a coach, or I am trying to improve and I have a stack of improvement books. Good. Apply what I just said to those books. Apply to the learning department and think to yourself, did that book give me any homework? How am I supposed to get through this? This book gave me a couple pointers, but I kind of want to flex those muscles. So if you don't have homework, you can't flex those muscles. So that's why in the Alchemy for Life Formulas for Success book, I put 16 separate formulas in there with worksheets, and each worksheet could be considered homework because I want to practice what I preach in that. My time is up that I allow myself to take from you because I very much value your time. So thank you again. I look forward to hearing back from you. I look forward to your feedback, and take care of yourself. Thank you. Hey, it's me again. Thanks for listening. 2 things for you. If you like this, I'd really love that you rate it on iTunes or Spotify. Would love to have the stars that are appropriate, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And the other thing is, I do have a new book out, and I would love for you to take a peek at it. It's called The Sword and the Sunflower. It's on Amazon as a Kindle as well as a paperback. Thanks. Just a little blurb at the end here. Take care.